Hello everyone, my name is Naga Venkatsai and today I am explaining about operating system organization interfaces. So first let us look into some history of operating systems. Uh, at early years, that is in 20th century when there is no operating system, a room-sized computer is first made which do basic arithmetic calculations. That means simply it is a room-sized calculator. Later, in early 1950s, the first operating system was introduced. It was called GMOS and it is created by IBM. It only do single tasks at a time. It means no multitasking. And the third generation OS was introduced in 1960. The PDPs which perform multitasking. In fourth generation, the personal computers were introduced alongside with the Windows operating system MS-DOS in 1981, and then Macintosh OS was developed by Apple. Windows later updated to latest versions, that is XP 95, 98, Windows 7 and Windows 10. Today all our electronic devices from our smartphones to ATM machines. So let me show you some history. Sorry. Yeah. This is what a room sized system is looked like in the past, and we also know that the women are the first programmers, right? This is the evolution of modern operating platforms. It is first which was introduced in 1960, and then 1988 portable OS standard developed for common architecture, and then FreeBSD. From that, we have got iOS, Mac OS, OS X. From Unix, that is, we got Linux kernel, and from Linux kernel, we got Android and Ubuntu mobile OS, Ubuntu operating system, etc. And then POSIX based Microsoft OS for IBM PC, that is Microsoft DOS, and then Microsoft's NT kernel is introduced, which led to Microsoft Windows XP and latest Windows 10. Uh, and Darwin is a kernel code developed by Apple that was based on derived from NetXT and FreeBSD code. So we can see that iOS is based on FreeBSD and Android is based on Linux, and Windows has its own kernel called Windows NT. This is the brief history of operating systems. Now let's talk about operating system and user interfaces. So commonly we have three interfaces, that is text user interface and graphical user interface and web user interface. First, let's talk about text user interface. It is the first interface of a operating system, which the old operating systems like MS-DOS were based on text user interface. They are the first operating systems introduced. So it is also called a command line interface and character user interface, also known as command line user interface or non-graphical user interface, refers to the use of text commands managed by a command line interpreter in order to communicate with a computer program. Modern graphical user interfaces has evolved from text-based UIs. Some operating systems can still be used with a text user interface in case the commands are entered as text, like cat command and ls command or dir command in Windows, etc. Uh, let's look into this MS-DOS, which we are talking about. I am running a virtual machine. Yeah, okay. This is what MS-DOS looks like. I am typing the dir command. Okay. Control Alt L. So I am going to full screen this. Yeah. Okay. After dir, I have got these, and let's try some games. cd games. Now I am games directory, and now it's dir. In games we can see we have Bolter, Boom, etc. and so on games. And this is Elijah chatbot. uh, yeah, Elijah chatbot. It is the first chatbot which is capable of interacting with humans. Let's try to execute it. I will type Elijah. uh, oh sorry, Elijah is a directory. cd Elijah and then dir. Okay, now I am running the Elijah exe file. Yeah, now Elijah is asking me to tell me my problems. It is a therapy computer. uh, it just do some basic tasks. It just replace it doesn't replay on its own. It is programmed to replay. Okay, let's try. uh, let's see what it does. No, no, for fun. It is free type. I can't understand. That's enough. Let's exit. Okay. uh, cd dot dot. I'm going back. Now I'm going to show you how graphical interface is slowly introduced. So first I am executing a game based on graphical interface on this text based operating system. Now dir. I am going to play this flpy board. Okay, cd flpybird. Okay, dir flpybird. See, this is a graphical game. Yeah, I I don't know how to play this. Yeah, I'm scoring well. Okay, let's play this for some time. It is fun. Do you know FreeDOS operating system? I am using that currently, FreeDOS, because MS-DOS is a proprietary operating system which is not available free. Oh, I scored 300. Okay, I'm going to exit. Control Alt L, and then yeah. Okay, I have exited from the game. Okay, so this is how uh, it is. FreeDOS is developed for MS-DOS alternative because most of the people even know like MS-DOS games. Like we saw this, these are classical games which has great feeling. That is why FreeDOS is developed. and then this is the graphical interface. Now let me tell you about the sorry, this is text based interface, and let me tell you about graphical interface. uh, Currently, see, this is all graphical interface. I am clicking here and a menu is opening, and I am clicking a icon, and then it launches the app. This is what the graphical interface is. Let me tell you the normal definition. The graphical interface it is developed in late 1970s by the Xerox Palo Alto Research Laboratory. Let me end this, or let me wait. Okay. Yeah, users interact with information by manipulating visual widgets. It means these are the visual widgets, or this everything you can click. Everything that is clickable is a visual widget. So, which are designed to respond in accordance with the type of data they hold and support the actions necessary to complete the user's tasks. Sketchpad, believed to be the first graphical computer-aided design program, was developed in 1962 by Ivan Sutherland while he was at MIT, and consisted of a light pen that enabled users to create and manipulate objects in engineering drawings in real time with coordinated graphics. ATM, self-service checkouts, airline self-ticketing and check-in, video games, smartphones and desktops. Some popular modern graphical user interface example include Microsoft Windows, Mac OS, Ubuntu, Unity, and Genome Shell for desktop environments, and Android, Apple's iOS, BlackBerry OS, Windows 10 Mobile, Palm OS, WebOS, Firefox OS, etc. So GUI is developed with CS and JavaScript, HTML5, CSS3, etc. And then let's talk about web user interface. Everything you look you can do it in browser is web user interface. So I'm using a Telegram desktop, which is a web user interface, or YouTube. Let me open a YouTube. This is web interface, and it is developed with JavaScript or any web programmings. Yeah, see, clickable, etc. This is all the web user interface. Now user interface is done. So why what is the necessary of some operating system interface? uh, the main concept is that operating system interface helps people use the operating system. See, without the any interface, how can we use an operating system? So interface is very necessary. Okay. Now let's talk about operating system organization. So operating systems today generally consists of many distinct pieces or components. We can simply our description of an OS by viewing it as many layers of related components. So Unix operating system organization. In a very general sense, Unix is divided into two components, the kernel component and the utilities. The kernel, which is critical to the operation of the OS, is loaded into the random access memory by the bootloader, where it remains memory resident for as long as the operating system runs. So a kernel provide a I mean, kernel connects the hardware and the software of an operating system. Yeah, this is a kernel, and these are user space. User space consists of tasks or processes which we call applications, and the kernel is what connects them. This is what I am talking about. So this is hardware, we can say a processor is a hardware, or a motherboard is a hardware, etc. And this is kernel. These are some commands, Unix commands, and we can treat them as applications as well. So let's assume that let's assume this is bash. So my this is my terminal, I read this. Yeah, this is the bash, and this bash is activated when I clicked this. So this bash is now connected to kernel, and now whatever I type here, like ls is a command to list directories or files. So when I type this ls, this command is directed to kernel, and the kernel is send this command to hardware, which hardware executes this. A monitor is my hardware, for example. When I typed ls, kernel executes the program and sends the output to the monitor. So this is what operating system organization is. These are drivers are helpful for connecting with the hardware. We have this different types of drivers for different devices, like camera is a device, integrated camera is a device in a laptop, and a driver is required for the capturing of video or any images through that camera. Okay, and then you can see that kernel is the operating system. As the figure illustrates, the kernel communicates to the hardware both directly and through drivers. And then monolithic versus microkernels. A monolithic kernel consists of the every piece of program inside it. It is just a single one. Let me just show you. Okay, this is a monolithic kernel. So in one cell it consists the user space, kernel space, libraries, hardware, everything in just one kernel, I mean one uh, single pouch. Okay, so everything is included in single thing, and it makes it difficult for us to debug this. So if we get errors in some libraries, for example, we have to compile everything to find that error. This is what the negative side of the monolithic kernel. Even though it has these uh, problems, ubuntu uses the monolithic kernel. Yeah, ubuntu is based on monolithic kernel. So architecture of monolithic kernel, this is the architecture of monolithic kernel. Everything's packed into a single module. And then microkernel, let me just show you microkernel. In microkernel, pieces are divided. Yeah, this is the example. It image itself is the example. Okay, so these are the problems I talked about. And then operating system is divided into modules, like a module for kernel, and a module for programs, and module for drivers, etc. Everything into module. Now let's talk about virtualization. Yeah, uh, before I have run an ms dos, like this is virtual machine, and this is ms dos. See, let me run a program again. Okay, see, this is ms dos. And where did I run this ms dos? On with the help of virtual machine on ubuntu system. So what happens is, here my ms dos is my guest operating system, which is run on ubuntu operating system. Every ubuntu shares every of its resources whenever needed with the virtual machine manager, so that ms dos can use of them. uh, Let me just show you. Yeah, I think my system got struck. Okay, see, this is what I am talking about. So I have allocated two CPUs for this I mean guest operating system. I have given the everything virtually. I have given boot options, a disk. It is not. It is given that I have given 20 GB, but it uses whenever it wants some memory. So 20 GB is not the correct amount. It just is showed to the guest operating system, which guest operating system believes it had. We are manipulating the guest operating system. So I have allocated mouse, keyboard, everything. See, this is what virtualization is. See, virtual we can see the get guest operating system. Every this we have three guest operating systems here, and each guest operating system shares a memory, CPU, and disk. And here guest operating system uses virtual hardware. I have shown here before. This is virtual hardware like keyboard, mouse, display, serial, etc. Serial is that USB. So everything is like this in a virtual operating system. Okay, virtualization is done. And today's we have covered some concepts like operating system interfaces and operating system organization. Now uh, continuously in this video I am going to discuss about functionality of an operating system. uh, for example, here I am loading a terminal app. This is a functionality like, so, we can access everything from terminal. Currently I am just let's just execute some commands. Like first we can try to list the directories with ls. Okay, we can clearly see we have some directories. So now I want to change a directory, so I use cd. I want to go to documents, for example, documents. So it is changed. Now again ls. I have some PDF file here. I don't have any text file. Let me create a text file. I use nano editor. So nano example txt. With nano editor, we can just simply type anything and save it. Hello world. I am an text file. Okay. To save this, we have to type Control X and then Y and then enter. Now let me just try to count words. I think WC is a inbuilt command. Let me just try it. Okay, WC example dot txt. Yeah, it counted how many lines. I have one line and seven letters, I think. Let me just check it. Yeah, it gave something. Okay, and then WC is word counter. Okay, now let me show you a super user. So sudo I, we can I am using sudo command to get some permissions which normal user doesn't have. So sorry. Yeah. Okay. This is sudo command. I can use sudo for update purpose and for anything. Exit, I can simply exit, and then let me tell you how to update. Sudo apt. Apt is my package manager here, so I am using apt update. Okay. I have 17 packages to be upgraded, so I can just use sudo apt upgrade, and then clear command is used to clear the console. I can use top command to know which programs are running in my system right now, and which user is running those commands. This is top command. Control C, and then I can use netstat command to know my network statistics. These are my network statistics. Yeah, everything about network. And I can just type IO stat to know input and output of my system. This is my IO stat, and then uh, to know which user I am in, I can use who am I command. So this is what who am I do. Uh, I can use IP ADDR or IF config to show my Wi-Fi driver status. Now I want to find IP address of this. So IP ADDR show the name of it, copy. Oh sorry, singular. I have typed double R. Yeah. So it gives me the IP address of my system. These are the basic commands. Python is inbuilt in Ubuntu, and I am going to check my Python version. I can type the any command. For any command I can just type command and then this version. See, my Python version is 3.9.7, and I want to know my version of my ls. See, ls version. My ls version is 8.32. These are the basic commands. So I want to know about these commands. Info ls. I can get the information about any command. This is my ls command information. I can control C. Or I want to know a programming about some programming command. I can type man 2 or 3. Read. Man gives my manual about the command. This is all about the some basic commands. We have I before I used nano editor. We can also use editors like Vim. I can simply type vexample.txt. So this is my V editor. I am editing a example.txt. For inserting I have to type I. Yeah, edited, and then I can type escape, w, escape, semicolon wq. Okay. WQ force exits my V command with saving the content. So to know what is in a file, I can simply type cat example.txt. See, cat gives what's inside a file, and I have done and everything, and then which comments left. I must think. These are the basics. Okay, yeah, echo. See, using echo, I can echo anything. Like for example, echo hello world. See, it echoes hello world. This is what echo is, and we have some. I want to know history. I can just type history, and I want to filter history. Grep is a filtering command. Grep SSH for example, or history grep IP for example. See, it gives whatever command I used with IP. Okay, and I have inbuilt cal commands, like I can just simply type mm, cal. I can uh, I want to know April 2017 calendar. See, cal April 2017 gives April 2017, and cal november november 2021. See, November 2021. Today is November 12th, and it is Friday. Okay, I can just simply type time command for knowing some process of times, or I want to know my boot time, uptime. I can type just uptime. I am. This is my uptime. Okay, so I want to change my user. I can use su command to change my user. Currently, I don't have any users. I will add user nv site 2. Oh, I need sudo permissions, right? This is what sudo is used for. So I have added user command with password hello. Now I want to change my user sunv site 2. See, I simply change it from nv site to nv site 2. Again, I will type su nv site. Okay, now clear. I want to remove user. Okay, and then let me type who I am nv site. Okay, I want to delete nv site user, del user nv site 2. Again sudo. I forgot about sudo. Yeah, nv site 2 is deleted. Clear. So these are the basic commands. Now let's discuss about functionality of an operating system. Okay. Uh, the main functionalities of operating systems are security, the control over system performance, job accounting, error detecting, coordination between other operating software and users, memory management, and device management, process management, file management, and then program execution, handling input or output operations, manipulation of file system, resource allocation, information and resource protection. So these are the main functionalities of an operating system. Let's talk about main things like security, for example. So the operating system uses password protection to protect user data and similar other techniques. It also prevents unauthorized access to programs and user data. So control over system performance, monitors overall system health to help improve performance. I have already told some uh, I mean stats commands like ls stat, and then what iostat, netstat, and top example. These are commands. With these commands we can monitor overall system health. So, and then error detecting aids, the operating system constantly monitors the system to detect errors and avoid malfunctioning of a computer system. Coordinating between other user and user software and users. Operating system also coordinate and assign interpreters, compilers, assemblers, and other software to the various users of the computer systems. Memory management. This is the main concept. We will briefly discuss this in later. The operating system manages the primary memory or main memory. Main memory is made up of a large array of bytes or words where each byte or word is assigned a certain address. Main memory is fast storage and it can be accessed directly by the CPU for a program to be executed. It should be first loaded in the main memory. So, process management. In a multi-programming environment, the OS decides the order in which process has access to the processor and how much processing time each process has. The function of OS is called process scheduling. An operating system performs the following activities for process management: keeps track of the status of process. The program which performs this task is known as a traffic controller. Allocates the CPU that is a processor to a process, reallocates processor when a process is no more required. And then device management. An OS manages device communication via their respective drivers. It performs the following activities for device management: keeps track of all devices connected to the system, designates a program responsible for every device known as input output controller, devices which decides which process gets access to a certain device or for how long. And then file management. Let me just briefly show you the file management in an want operating system or any Linux operating system. So this is my root directory. Let me just open terminal. So I don't want to know my chdr, sorry, not chdr, present working directory, pwd. So my present working directory is root. This is my first and first path which everything starts. And then in uh, root directory I have let me just show you. Yeah, we have bin, we have boot folder in which we have boot files, everything related to operating system boot. And then we have root directory which has root privileges, and then user which will have user privileges, and proc for devices, and opt also for devices, and then media, dev is also for devices, loop devices like video driver device, etc. I have a home directory here. Everything starts from a root directory, from root to user or anything. So let me just show you fastly. User ls. So in user I have this, and then cd dot dot cd bin ls. In bin I have this, and then cd dot dot ls, cd boot ls. In boot I have all images which I want to boot. Again cd dot dot cd root ls. These are the contents of my root directory. I did a cd root, but still it is in this symbol because root directory itself is the starting point, so it won't change. Cd root doesn't work. Now cdtmp ls in temp. I have temporary files. Again cd dot dot and send cd dev. In dev folder, uh, excuse me, yeah, in dev folder I have these loop devices. See, as I said, these are loops. HDA is a pointer for partitions in a operating, I mean, partitions in a driver, memory driver. Let me just show you gparted tool. Yeah, it took time to launch. Yeah, so this is my file. We have basic file systems like ntfs, fat32, and extends for which you want to use. So this is what I talked about: HDA1, HDA2, HDA3. These are all partitions in my uh, memory driver, I mean hard disk. Okay, this is my Windows, I mean SSD. Okay, so these are the basic things of file management. An operating system must be able to handle input and output operations. uh, in future purposes or in x86 operating system, we will get to know about standard input and standard output, which is very necessary for an operating system. And resource allocation: the operating system ensures the proper use of all the resources available for by deciding which resource to be used by whom for how much time. All the decisions are taken by the operating system. So thank you very much. I assume this video helped you, but it this video helped me learn very much. I have got very real information. I have collected great information for this video. Thank you very much for watching.